Okay, so I have a container here, just a can. You could use any sort of plastic yogurt container, anything like that. And I've just punched some drainage holes in the bottom. And so I'm going to just experiment a little bit with the types of pollution we might have in our neighborhoods. So I've collected some soil, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my, my soil in there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add one of the pollutants that I think is very common to our neighborhoods. It is oil, which often gets drained out of cars or is leaking out of cars, and we think it's no big deal, it just goes onto the asphalt, right? Well, some of the rain comes along and washes it down the driveway, and it goes into the soil. It's not very much, I just put a little bit in. So let's just see what happens, if that really makes a difference or if it stays in the soil. So I'm gonna take this other container right here, just empty glass container. I'll sit my little filter on top of it. And then I'm gonna pretend that the rain has come along and it's coming through the neighborhood. And we'll see what happens as this water drains out. So at this point, it's hard to tell whether any of that oil is coming through or not. We're just watching the water drain. I'm gonna stop this momentarily, let this drain through, and then we're gonna look at the water to see if we can tell if the oil stayed in the soil or came through in the water. Okay, so here is the water that was filtered with the oil. Here is some clean water. Now, is this water just brown because it went through soil or because it had the oil in it? You'll have to determine a way to figure that out first of all. And then you can check other ingredients or things that might represent other pollutants. Maybe soap, or we could pretend that, for example, this is a pesticide that gets put onto the soil. Now, if that were in the garden, we'd assume, well, it's just on the soil, right? But let's see what happens even when that is hit with some rain. So somebody's neighbor, your neighbor has some pesticides they've sprayed. What happens to your yard if the rain comes? Let's just see if it happens to go through. Do you see a color change? It seems even that small amount right in there has affected that whole bit of soil and all the water that's going through it. So you're first going to experiment with what things go through the soil. Talk about what pollutants you're gonna have in your neighborhood, and then you're going to do your next experiment, which is to see how some of those pollutants might affect the plant growth.